Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the LWN Network with headline hits today, noon Eastern Standard Time, every day, Monday through Thursday, with me, your host, Tammy Nation. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful week. It is Wednesday, the middle of the week, hump day, May 7th, 2025. We've got some obviously good headlines for you guys today. It's worldly events, as you can see by my talking points today. A lot going on out there, like we always say, but a lot of that's going out in the world in these other countries has an effect on us and is going to have effect on us. So I thought it was important to cover that this morning. Other than that, if you didn't see, we do have a show. LW and I did a show last night, and we had a special guest named Kristen on, who was a concerned citizen about just different things going on. And I think she did a really good job portraying the emotion and feelings of a lot of people who may not follow everything in such detail like LW and I do, or maybe some of you out there in chat. I know people have lives to live, and we're thankful and we're blessed that you guys come here for your information. We appreciate it. We work really hard to make sure that we stay on top of it 24/7 as best we can. But we understand that there are people out there that, don't follow it as tightly as we do, and that's why we're here to report it all for you, to help you guys stay informed so you can do the things you need to do in your life, but you can stay on top of things as well. So once again, it's just basically a thank you and appreciation to each and every one of you who watch on X, Rumble, YouTube. Those are the three platforms that we are on now. Our Facebook is still under the works. It still hasn't got approved yet. There's a lot of going on with that as far as our old page that had 15,000 followers. We're not able to recover it still. We've been working with Facebook, and basically it's lost in the abyss, let's just say. So we're probably going to have to start a new page, and that's what we worked on. And we have it on hold because of the other things going on with the other pages. So that's why we're not on Facebook, you guys, but we are on, like I said, YouTube, X, and Rumble. I do drop the links across the platforms as well as LW does, so you guys can always find us. And I still have my Facebook page at Tammy Nation, so you can always find out information on my Facebook page as well. So with that being said, we're going to head into headline hits right after this. I'll see you in a sec. So as we head into headline hits, if you didn't see, I'm keeping you informed here because President Trump did meet with the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, yesterday in the Oval Office. He said he was very much looking forward to meeting him and with him and wants to work with him. But he said he can't understand one simple truth, which he posted on his social media, and that is, why is America subsidizing Canada by $200 billion a year, in addition to giving them free military protection and many other things we don't need. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything they have other than their friendship, which hopefully we will always maintain. They, on the other hand, need everything from us. That will most likely be my only question of consequence, he said. Now, he stated this before he joined the meeting with him in the Oval, but notes from the meeting, when asked by reporters after the meeting if there was anything that Carney could say to Trump that would convince him to reduce the tariffs on Canadian goods, Trump did reply with, "No, it's just the way it is." Trump stated that Canada did treat the United States unfairly, and he wants to make that right. Carney acknowledged that, saying Canada is the largest client of the United States, so it would benefit the United States to restore free trade with its northern neighbor. But he did agree with Trump that a trade deal wouldn't likely be announced yesterday as a result of their decisions. Now, Trump did say that basically Canada needs to become the 51st state to do trade and all that sort of thing, because we've been paying for them all along and spending a lot of money, actually. He said they need to learn how to take care of themselves as well. And when asked, the Prime Minister was asked if Canada would become the 51st state, and he said that's likely never going to happen. And if you saw Trump's face, it was incredible. You got to love that personality, because he was kind of looking like in his mind, he's like, never say never, so we will see what develops with Canada. It was nice that they got to meet, and it was an interesting little meeting. If you didn't see it, I would suggest you checking it out. These kind of things that we have video on and able to watch live really help educate ourselves with what is going on in the moment that it's happening, because so many things move so fast. And also, you're going to get one-sided news depending on where you go. So it's good for you to have the information, see it, and follow it, and, come to your own conclusions. The next step, speaking of trades, because there's a lot of that going on due to the tariffs, a lot of people holding back, a lot of people coming to the table, but India is close to getting a U.S. trade deal with us. They've offered a 0-for-0 trade, and that's awesome. That's the fair trade that President Trump has talked about, said that he wants for this country, that no longer should we be, taking it over the back, because we have been paying tariffs and we've been getting tariffs like crazy. So why not make it equal trade? So far, India has said 0-for-0 trade. What the products are is on their steel, auto parts, and pharmaceuticals, and is contingent upon reciprocity and import volumes. So they're saying the deal could be finalized by the end of the week. I'm sure Trump president and his administration is going to keep us appraised of the situation. And then covering the latest on China and the tariffs imposed on them, and the ones they imposed on us. On YouTube, this is great information, you guys. There's a YouTube channel, and it's called Chynnaa Observer. It's very simple. Just type in Chynnaa Observer. And these are the people, some of the people that live there, and they're showing videos and talking about what is actually going on in China due to the tariffs that have been imparted by the United States. From their point of view, what's really happening, because we know that the media does suppress things. Media likes to lean it one way or another, if it benefits them or not, especially in China. But they are saying that there's massive layoffs and closures across China. And I learned that the CIA on May 1st put out 2 Mandarin language videos that were aimed at encouraging defections from the CCP. Now, CIA Director John Radcliffe expressed confidence that these videos would bypass the Great Firewall and reach informed individuals within China. The Chinese government has yet to comment on the CIA videos, and the Ministry of State Security, which has been usually active in recent years, has also remained silent. Now, some of these Chinese businessmen and author of, one of them is author of Red Roulette, have spoken out about these videos and believes the CIA release of these defection videos marks a strategic shift by the U.S. government. He said it signals a departure from the previous appeasement policy of not seeking to change China's political system under the Trump administration. The U.S. understands to eliminate the global expansion of communist authoritarianism and to secure national security. A solution should be to encourage the democratic transformation of China from within. So that is why they put these videos out. The video on the Chynnaa Observer YouTube channel is very detailed and informative. It's worth a look to help better understand, like I said, what is going on in China and with their people's reality, what their media and leadership isn't saying or showing. And then next up, we have President Trump spoke to the media on the White House lawn about a recession and China, stating, "Fake news is trying to convince the public to have a recession. Let's have a recession. The United States is actually doing phenomenally well. But one thing I have to do is economically take on China, because China has been ripping us off for many years. President Clinton, President Bush, and President Obama and others should have done this long before. My life here in the Oval Office would be much easier." He says, although I enjoy doing it, he said, if I just let China continue to rip off the United States, it might be much easier. But he says, I can't do that. He said, we are winning against China. They've lost 2.5 million jobs in a very short period of time. They want to make a deal. It's going to be a deal, and it's going to be good for the United States. He said, we probably will make a deal. They want to come to the table. Now, some in the media have said this is Trump's trade war. He said, this isn't my trade war. This is a trade war that should have taken place a long time ago by a lot of other presidents. Over the last 5 or 6 years, China's made, this number is huge, $500 billion, ripped it out of the United States. And not only that, if you take a look, intellectual property theft, add that on to it. He says they've had a lot of other things as well they've taken from us. He said, I'm the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. He said, I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning because we're the piggy bank. We're the one that all these countries, including the European Union, wants to rob and take advantage of. European Union took 200 billion, China more than 500 billion. So he reiterated these huge numbers. I was put here by the people to do a great job, and that's what I'm doing. And nobody's done a job like I've done, the president continued. He said, China is losing too many jobs too fast. They've had the worst year in 27 years, but I think it was actually the worst year they've had in half a century. And that's because of what I'm doing. He goes, I'm not proud of it. He goes, but you know what they want? They want to negotiate now. He said, Sleepy Joe doesn't have a clue. He kept saying, China is great. Well, guess what? Yeah, China is great for China. He said, but me, I'm great. I'm great for the United States. So some strong words, some lines in the sand definitely drawn. I do believe he knows what he's doing. I do have confidence in that. He is fighting for the United States of America. And that is much better than, in my opinion, the last administration who was giving everything away. He continued to do that. So like I said, with Doge coming up with all this lost funds that were misused, all these deals with USAID and stuff that weren't legit, it's time that we take everything back that is rightfully ours and have fair trade, have fair deals, have fairness. USA has been the piggy bank of everybody, and we don't need to be the piggy bank anymore. We are suffering, and he's trying to get this straightened out. Then next up, we have India and Pakistan are battling it out. Late yesterday, the Indian armed forces, I should say, launched Operation Sindoor. They were hitting terrorist infrastructures in Pakistan, and Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed. Another 9 sites have also been targeted. They're saying our actions have been focused, measured, and non-sectarian in nature. No Pakistani military facilities have been targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in selection of targets and method of execution. These steps come in the wake of the barbaric Pahalgam terrorist attack in which 25 Indians and the 1 Nepali citizen were murdered. We are living up to the commitment that those responsible for this attack will be held accountable. And that was all stated in a press release through India. Next up, we have Israel. Israel, on Monday evening, carried out airstrikes on Houthi-held port city of Yemen. It was one of the port cities in response to the Iran-backed terror group's ballistic missile attack on Ben Gurion Airport that left several injured a day earlier. According to the military, the strikes carried out by some 20 IAF fighter jets targeted Houthi infrastructure along the coast of Yemen, including the Hodi port and a concrete factory, and near the city of Bajil, some 2,000 kilometers from Israel. The jets dropped 50 munitions on the Houthi targets, the military said, publishing images showing the jets preparing for takeoff. IAF refuelers and spy planes also participated in the operation. The Israel Defense Forces said the Hodei port was used by the Houthis for the transfer of Iranian weapons, equipment for military needs, and other terror purposes. The Bajil concrete factory serves as an important economic resource for the Houthi terror regime and is used for building tunnels and military infrastructure, the IDF said, adding that the strikes constitute a blow to the regime's economy and its military buildup. The strike was conducted in response to the repeated attacks by the Houthi terrorist regime against the state of Israel, during which surface-to-surface missiles and UAVs were launched toward Israel territory and its civilians, the military said in a statement. Now, Trump, sitting in the Oval Office next to the Canadian Prime Minister yesterday, spoke out on the Houthis and Israel's most recent conflict that I just told you about, and he said, the Houthis have announced that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight, and we will honor that, and we will stop the bombings. They have capitulated. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. So a little bit of good news there. Let's see what happens with that, and if that stays true to what they are saying. And then next up, we have the Supreme Court yesterday sided with President Trump and the administration in lifting a lower court order that paused the Pentagon's transgender military ban from taking effect. It is allowing Trump's order and related policies to proceed. They allowed Trump to begin enforcing a ban on the trans service members. The High Court ruling is a near-term victory for the White House. At issue in the suit is Schilling versus United States is President Trump's January executive order banning transgender military members. The executive order would require the Defense Department to update its guidance regarding trans-identifying medical standards for military service and to rescind guidance inconsistent with military readiness. The Trump administration has argued that further stalling the policy could pose a threat to the U.S. military readiness concerns it outlined it to the Supreme Court in the filing last month. Trump officials have argued that the transgender military policy furthers the government's important interest in military readiness, unit cohesion, good order and discipline, and avoiding disproportionate cost. Now, according to the Defense Department data provided by military.com, so military.com is another website you can go to find all this information out. According to that website, the Pentagon has spent $15 million in the past 5 years to treat 1,892 transgender troops, including $11.5 million for psychotherapy and $3.1 million for surgeries. So we know that we were paying for that, and Trump has also put a stop to that as well. So some good news for the Trump administration to get that passed through the courts. And it's just been a very, very busy time with President Trump signing EOs, it seems like almost daily, and all the trade and the tariffs and the stuff that we've been talking about nonstop. It's like the movement is continuous. But the good news is people are coming to the table to negotiate. The good news is now the Houthis have agreed to stop blowing up ships. And like I said many times, we are going to face a lot of uncomfortableness. Change is not always easy, but change can definitely be good. We have to get out of our comfort zone. And, you know, with these trades, a lot of people, trade deals and these tariffs have been upset because they're fearful they don't access the things they want to access. And I understand that we all are comfortable in the things that we want, the things that we get, but we also have to realize that some of the things that we want, we don't need. And as long as we get what we need, that's what it's all about. And we need to, I feel, back this kind of stuff for our children and our children's children, generations to come, because we know how much this country has been suffering financially. We know how the job market is and how tough it has been for our kids, what has been happening in the colleges that DOJ has discovered with the certain DEI programs that they were picking people just because of their color or what would serve their purpose to fit a certain agenda instead of somebody who is qualified, and that goes with jobs as well. So there is a lot to straighten out. There is many details to this. We may not agree on everything in the way that it's being done. We may not understand it fully, but it is our job to at least keep an open mind and to understand that at least this administration is really fighting for this country. And it's as simple as that. You know, the last 4 years with the Biden administration was very challenging, hard, and uncomfortable. A lot of us lost our jobs. A lot of us faced consequences with the whole COVID deal. I mean, so many of us lost our jobs because of certain reasons and, you know, lost family members. And we have to remember all of that. We have this administration, like Trump or not, he is fighting for the American citizen to get America back on its feet again. We are a strong, beautiful, wonderful, free country. It is an amazing country, and she's worth fighting for. So I'm all for this. This is what I voted for, to have things done, to see transparency of how our government works, where the money's going. It's been very disheartening and disappointing that so many politicians, and it's not just Republicans or Democrats, it's both, it's all, that have taken advantage of the American people and our taxpayer dollars. It isn't one-sided, but it is a cleanup that is necessary. When Trump said many years ago, I need to drain the swamp, I'm going to drain the swamp, I think we're seeing how bad and how big and how deep and how wide it really is. I don't think we had any idea. We had some idea, but not the total idea. So that's what I have for you guys today. for Headline Hits. I will be back tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time for another Headline Hits for you guys, the last one of the week. In the meantime, thank you again for joining me. And if you could like, share, and subscribe to the channel, we surely would appreciate it to get the word out there about the LWN network. And once again, thank you for those of you who are here all the time for your support. Thank you for your comments, your suggestions. Thank you for the emails that we get regarding different suggestions and stuff. We just appreciate the feedback. We really do. And you don't always have to agree with us, but the point that you have when we have our call-in shows at night that you want to make, we hope you call in and do it. You don't have to agree with us, but we just ask that you're respectful, because the whole point of having a call-in show is to be able to have good conversation, not the echo chambers, not the yelling and screaming and name-calling Orange Man bad. We like to have intelligent conversation here, and that's how we get this country back. We learn how to negotiate, find compromise, balance, and communicate with one another, even if we don't agree on everything. Because if we don't, we're going to lose this country, and we almost did. You look at the yelling and screaming that a lot of people, radicals on the left, that have done. They're yelling and screaming, and they're just holding up different sayings when they protest, and it's just yelling and screaming. There's no solid material about what they're screaming about. So policy is where it's at. Conversation is where it's at, and that's what we hope to bring here on the LWN network. So once again, take care. God bless. Have a great Wednesday. I will see you guys back here tomorrow, noon Eastern Standard Time. Bye-bye.